Ever have a morning where the universe tests you? That was me. If someone had told me a week ago that oatmeal would become the villain of my life story, I'd have laughed. Like, actually laughed out loud. But here I am, the morning after my third consecutive healthy breakfast, sitting in my car, questioning every life choice that led me to this moment. See, my mom's a health coach, one of those people who think kale can solve emotional trauma and fiber is the key to enlightenment. So when she said I should swap my bacon, egg, cheese routine for oatmeal, I thought, yeah, sure, how bad can that be? The answer? Catastrophic. Because this morning, oatmeal didn't just betray me, it declared war. So I wake up early, half dead, half human, and toss that gray goop into a bowl like I'm prepping cement. It's supposed to be cinnamon apple flavor, but somehow it tastes like sadness and wet cardboard. Still, I eat it because, health. Now fast forward 20 minutes. I'm leaving my driveway, sipping cheap gas station coffee that tastes like burnt ambition, and feeling smug about being an adult. 3 hours of driving every day for work. I tell myself it's worth it because the pay's good, the job's stable, and hey, podcasts exist. But about 10 minutes into the drive, the oatmeal decides to make itself known. You know that tiny twinge in your gut that whispers, hey buddy, something's coming? Yeah. That whisper became a scream in about 3 seconds flat. At first, I think, no big deal. I'll handle it when I get to work. I'm a grown man with iron willpower. Then the pressure hits. And by pressure, I mean a full-on betrayal from within. It's like my intestines are staging a coup d'etat. My body's screaming, evacuate, evacuate now. And my brain's just sitting there going, but traffic. I'm gripping the steering wheel, praying to every god I can think of, even the ones from fantasy novels, just to make it another 40 minutes. And that's when fate decides to test me. Red light. Instant. Agony. I'm not exaggerating. This wasn't your average stomach cramp. This was the kind of pain that makes you see your ancestors waving from the afterlife like, come on, champ, we saved you a seat. I'm sweating, shaking, gasping like I just ran a marathon, and every passing second feels like my digestive system is holding me hostage. The light turns green, and I've never accelerated so fast in my life. Up ahead, salvation. A gas station. A small, quiet one I've never seen before. Now, here's where I should have turned around. Any sane person would have noticed the red flags immediately. The place looked wrong. Like the kind of gas station you see in horror movies 5 minutes before someone disappears. Half the lights are flickering, the signs missing letters, and there's not a single car in the lot. But when your stomach's making death threats, you don't think straight. I park crookedly, slam the door, and speed walk toward the entrance like I'm training for the Olympic bathroom dash. The door opens with that slow creak sound that horror movie directors would pay extra for. Inside, silence. No hum of coolers, no music, just the faint buzz of dying fluorescent lights. And then I see him. The clerk, old guy, mid-60s maybe, sitting behind the counter reading a newspaper like it's 1983. Doesn't even look up when I walk in. At this point, I'm too far gone to care. I spot the bathroom sign, a faded arrow pointing left, and make a beeline. Burst through the door, 2 stalls. I take the second one and... Look, I'll keep this clean, but let's just say, nature didn't knock. It kicked the door in. It was chaos. A full-scale internal rebellion. I have never in my life experienced anything so efficient. If NASA studied propulsion like that, we'd already be on Mars. Now, midway through my personal apocalypse, a thought hits me. Wait, did that guy even acknowledge me coming in? Nope. Too late. I'm committed. Finally, silence. Peace. I'm alive. But now comes the final step. The flush, the cleansing, the redemption. I press the lever, and nothing happens. I press again. Nada. Not even a gurgle. I look back, and the tank's bone dry. No water. No hope. Just the consequences of every bad dietary decision I've ever made staring back at me like, you did this. Panic. Pure, unfiltered panic. I need a plan. Fast. There's no plunger, no bucket. The sink. I can use the sink. I turn and immediately realize I'm in an abandoned building with plumbing from a horror story. Half the sink is missing. Literally gone. Broken clean off like someone ripped it out in frustration. And the first stall? Empty. No toilet. Just a hole in the ground. I'm standing there in stunned silence thinking, did I just commit biological warfare in a building that isn't even open? At this point, my only option is to flee the scene like a guilty raccoon. So I wash my hands in the half sink, the half that's still attached, and bolt. Back in the main store, the old man is still reading that same newspaper. Doesn't look up, doesn't blink. I'm convinced he's either deaf or a ghost. But guilt hits me. So I grab a random item from a dusty shelf, a Lucky Charms bar, because, gotta pay rent for my crimes. Then I grab a drink, a fruit punch. It's warm. The cooler's humming, but it's not cold. That's when I notice the labels are faded, the dust is thick, and the entire store smells faintly like mildew and despair. Still, I march to the counter like nothing happened. The guy doesn't scan anything, just mutters, $2.54. I reach for my card, and before I can even pull it out, he says, cash only. I freeze. How did he know I wasn't paying cash? He hasn't looked up once. But whatever, I'm done. I slap a 5 on the counter and say, keep the change. And that's when he finally looks up. Eyes like fogged glass, blank, cold, and he says, we'll keep the bathroom between you and me. Don't get many customers. And then goes right back to his paper. I swear the air got 10 degrees colder in that moment. I nod like a broken animatronic, grab my stuff, and speed walk out. The second I get in my car, I lock the doors. My hands are shaking. My heart's pounding. I just stare through the windshield thinking, what in the cursed Scooby-Doo episode did I just walk into? I drive off. Fruit punch sweating in the cup holder. Lucky Charms bar staring at me like a bad decision. Halfway to work, I finally look at the expiration dates. The bar expired in 2018. The fruit punch? 2019. I toss both out the window. And I swear, as I checked my rearview mirror, I saw the lights of that gas station flicker off completely. Like it was never open at all. When I got back into my car that morning, I thought the worst was over. I mean, sure, I had just single-handedly destroyed a bathroom that looked like it hadn't been operational since the Obama administration, but at least I'd escaped without anyone calling the cops, right? I started the engine, the radio came on, and for about 10 seconds, I felt like a free man. Then I caught sight of my own reflection in the rearview mirror. Pale face, wide eyes, sweat-soaked hair, and I realized I looked like a guy who had just committed a felony against plumbing infrastructure. I tried to shake it off. It's fine, I told myself. Nobody saw you. Nobody knows. You're just going to drive to work, have a normal day, and never think about this again. Except, that's not what happened. About 15 minutes into the drive, I started noticing things. The road felt longer. The same stretch of highway I took every single morning suddenly looked unfamiliar. The trees lining the sides, they looked too close, like they were leaning in. The sky was that kind of dull gray that makes you feel like you're driving inside a photograph. I kept glancing at the clock, but it seemed like time wasn't moving. I told myself I was just tired. Maybe I was still traumatized from the morning's events. But then I passed another gas station. Same brand, same design. And for a split second, I swore it was the same one. Same flickering lights, same dusty windows. I even thought I saw that old man's silhouette behind the counter. My stomach did a full Olympic flip. I laughed nervously out loud because what else do you do when your brain starts staging horror movies during your commute? Nope, I said to nobody. No way. I'm not doing this today. You're just paranoid. It's the oatmeal talking. Still, the longer I drove, the weirder things got. The GPS on my dashboard froze for a full minute, then blinked back to life with my location, dot still hovering near that same town. Like I hadn't moved an inch. Then the radio started glitching. Faint static, a low hum, and then, I swear on my life, a voice that whispered something that sounded like my name. I yanked the aux cord out so fast I nearly broke it. By the time I reached the interstate, I was sweating again. Not from fear this time, but from full-blown anxiety. I kept glancing at every passing car like someone was following me. My breakfast sandwiches sat untouched on the passenger seat, getting colder by the minute. Every bump in the road made my stomach twitch. And here's the part that really messed with me. As I'm driving, I look down and notice something weird on my jeans. A faint gray dust. The same kind of dust that had been covering everything in that gas station. I wiped it off, but it didn't fully go away. I told myself it was from the parking lot. Asphalt dust. Road grime. Anything but what I was thinking. But it got worse. Halfway to work, I realized I could still smell that bathroom. You know when you leave a place and the smell kind of clings to you? Like smoke after a bonfire or that faint scent of fast food in your car? Yeah, Except this wasn't something you could describe. It wasn't just gross, it was wrong. It smelled like metal and mildew and bad memories. I rolled down my windows. It didn't help. So now I'm driving down the highway, blasting the AC, windows open, trying to convince myself that I didn't just hallucinate an entire haunted gas station. And then I see another one. Same brand. Same weird lighting. And I swear, I see that same old guy again. Only this time he's standing outside near the door, just staring at the road. At me, I blinked. He was gone. At this point, I'm 2 existential crises deep before 8 a.m. I pull over at a rest stop to calm down. I splash water on my face. Tell myself I'm just tired, maybe dehydrated, maybe still traumatized by what I did to that poor porcelain soul earlier. But as I lean on the sink, I glance down and see that my shoes are leaving faint gray footprints. Same dust. Same color. Same everything. That's when I start to panic for real. I dig through my car, trying to find anything to clean myself. Napkins, water bottle, air freshener, whatever. I'm scrubbing my shoes like a lunatic in the parking lot when a truck driver walks by and gives me that look. You know, the one that says, this guy's either detoxing or escaping a crime scene. And he's not wrong. I finally get to work. 30 minutes late, still wired on adrenaline. My coworkers immediately notice something's off. Rough morning? My buddy Jim asks, sipping coffee. I laugh it off. You have no idea. He shrugs and walks away, but not before wrinkling his nose. Dude, what's that smell? I froze. What smell? He sniffs again, frowns. I don't know, man. Like, old basement? You sure you didn't step in something? I tell him it's nothing, but my brain is screaming. I run to the locker room, change into spare clothes I keep there, toss my jeans and shoes into a plastic bag, and try not to think about it. But the smell lingers. Even after I wash my hands. Even after I shower at home that night. It's faint, but it's there. I tell myself I'm losing it. That I'm imagining things. That it's just guilt. But the next morning I wake up and the first thing I see through my window is a gas station. And not just any gas station. The same one. I nearly choke on my own breath. I live miles away from where that thing was supposed to be. There's no way it could be here. But there it is. Across the street, faintly glowing under the streetlight. Like it's been there forever. Same dusty windows. Same flickering sign. And when I look closer, I can see him. The old man. Standing behind the counter. Staring straight at my window. I blink. And it's gone. Just an empty lot again. At this point, I decide I need to do something. Either I'm going insane, or something seriously messed up is happening. So I do what any rational adult man does in these situations. I Google it. I type the name of the gas station chain, the address, the town, and sure enough, it shows up. Open 24 hours. Same logo, same everything. Except the reviews. There are none. Not one. 0. And when I click on Street View, it's just a forest, no building, no road, just trees. I check again, and again, and again. It's like it doesn't exist. I lean back in my chair, staring at the screen, my brain refusing to process any of it. The oatmeal, the pain, the bathroom, the man, the smell, the dust, all of it. Was it real? Was it some kind of fever dream brought on by fiber overload? Then, just as I'm about to close my laptop, I hear a soft thud from my porch, like something heavy landing. I freeze. My house is quiet, dead quiet. I wait. Another thud. I get up, walk to the door, and peek through the window. There's a paper bag on the porch. Old, dusty, and inside, barely visible through the torn paper, a single box of Lucky Charms, covered in gray dust. Expiration date, 2018. I stood there on my porch for a solid minute, just staring at that bag. My brain was doing cartwheels trying to process what I was looking at. It was just a box of cereal, right? That's what I told myself. A box of Lucky Charms. The same brand I grabbed from the shelf at that cursed gas station. Same color. Same weird layer of dust. Same expiration date that should have been impossible. I should have walked back inside, closed the door. Pretended it wasn't there. Normal people do that, right? They see something creepy, they go, nope, and go binge watch Netflix until it fades. But me? No. Apparently, I'm the kind of guy who opens the door and pokes the bear. I stepped outside slowly, the boards under my feet creaking in that classic, you're making a terrible decision, kind of way. The morning air was cold, too cold for the season. The bag sat there like it was waiting for me. When I reached down to pick it up, my hand brushed against the side, and that same gray dust smeared onto my skin. It was cold. Not like chilly air cold. It felt like touching metal that's been sitting in a freezer. I flinched and almost dropped the thing, but I forced myself to grab it anyway. I don't know what I expected to happen. Maybe a jump scare, maybe nothing. But the second I picked it up, the faint hum of electricity buzzed in the air around me, like static. Like I just turned on an old CRT TV. I froze, bag in hand, staring at the horizon, and for a second I swore I saw headlights, way off in the distance, just barely visible through the trees. Two dim, yellow circles flickering on and off like the world's creepiest Morse code. Then they disappeared. I took that as my sign to go inside. Once I got the door locked, I dropped the bag on the counter and took a few steps back. It was ridiculous, I knew that, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the box was wrong. Like it was watching me. Or maybe it was just the old man. His voice echoed in my head. "We'll keep the bathroom between you and me." Yeah, great. That's exactly what I needed. Ghostly bathroom threats first thing in the morning. I poured myself some coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and tried to act like a functional adult. But my eyes kept drifting back to the bag. Curiosity always wins, doesn't it? So eventually, I caved. I reached over, tore open the paper, and took out the cereal box. It was empty. Just air. No cereal, no bag inside. Just a dry, hollow sound when I shook it. And then, something fell out. A small piece of folded paper slipped from the top flap and landed on the table. I unfolded it with shaking hands. There were only 4 words written in shaky, smudged handwriting. "You forgot to flush?" My heart dropped into my shoes. For a second, I just sat there, frozen. My brain refused to connect the dots. It couldn't be real. Someone was messing with me. Maybe a prank, maybe a friend who somehow heard the story. Except I hadn't told anyone. Not a soul. At least I didn't think I had. That's when I noticed the faint smell again. That same blend of rust, mold, and regret. It was subtle at first, like it was just in my imagination. But the longer I sat there, the stronger it got. I followed it to the hallway. Then the bathroom. And when I flipped the light on, I froze. There, in the middle of my own bathroom floor, was a puddle of gray water. Not big, not huge, but enough to see my reflection rippling in it. I knelt down, trying to figure out where it came from. Pipes? Sink? Toilet? Nothing was leaking. Everything looked fine. Then the lights flickered. And for the briefest moment, in the reflection of that water, I saw him, the old man, standing behind me. I jumped up so fast I hit my elbow on the towel rack. I spun around, and there was nothing. Just my empty bathroom, same as always. The light flickered one more time and steadied. My heart was racing so hard I could hear it in my ears. "Okay," I said out loud, mostly to myself. "You're losing it. You're fine. This is fine. You're just sleep-deprived, that's all." I laughed. It sounded nervous, even to me. But here's the thing. Once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. I kept glancing over my shoulder all day. Every time I caught a shadow, every time my reflection moved a little too slow, I felt that same cold weight in my gut. I couldn't focus at work. I couldn't eat. And when I finally drove home that night, I found myself looking at every single gas station along the way. I told myself it was stupid, but my brain was playing detective on autopilot. Then I saw it. That same gas station, the cursed one. Right there on the side of the road. Only this time, the lights were bright. The parking lot was full. Cars lined up at the pumps. The sign read, "Grand Reopening, under new management." I should have kept driving. I didn't. I pulled in, heart pounding, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Everything looked normal. Clean. Too clean. The windows sparkled. The sign was freshly painted. Even the logo looked modern. I got out of the car, half expecting to hear that same eerie silence, but instead, there was upbeat pop music playing over the speakers. People were walking in and out, laughing, buying snacks. It looked like any other gas station in America, but my gut told me it wasn't. I walked inside, every step heavy with déjà vu. The aisles were restocked. Bright, fluorescent lights hummed overhead. There was a girl behind the counter this time, maybe mid-20s, smiling at her phone. "Welcome in," she chirped when she noticed me. I froze. My throat felt dry. Hey," I said, voice cracking like a teenager's. "When did this place reopen?" She looked confused. "What do you mean? It's been open for years." I blinked. "No, I mean, I stopped here, like, A couple days ago, it was... I trailed off, not wanting to sound insane. It looked... closed. She laughed lightly. Oh, you must be thinking of the one on Route 19. That one's been shut down since 2018. 2018. The year on the cereal box. I felt my stomach twist. Right. Yeah. Must have been that one. I forced a smile and walked toward the back, pretending to browse. My eyes darted toward the bathroom sign. Same spot, same door. Only now it was shiny and new, with a bright silver restrooms plaque. I stood there for a full minute, staring at it. Every instinct screamed at me not to go in. But of course I did. The bathroom was spotless. White tiles, air freshener. Everything looked brand new. There were even little employees must wash hands signs. I walked over to the second stall, the one I'd used before. It was there. Perfectly normal. No smell, no dust, no missing toilet. But on the wall, carved faintly into the paint, were 4 words. You forgot to flush. I didn't even wait. I bolted out of there like the building was on fire. The girl behind the counter looked up, startled. Sir, are you okay? Yeah, I gasped. Yeah, I'm fine. Just remembered I left, the oven on. I sprinted to my car, slammed the door, and peeled out of the parking lot. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the keys. I didn't stop driving until I hit my driveway. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house made my skin crawl. I kept replaying the day in my head. The cereal box, the note, the bathroom, the writing on the wall. When the sun finally came up, I went to make breakfast. I opened the cabinet, pulled out a bowl, and reached for the oats. And then I stopped. The box was already open, and sitting on top of the oatmeal, right there, perfectly centered, was another folded note. Same handwriting, same smudged ink. It said, "See you soon." I dropped the box, grabbed my keys, and decided maybe it was time to start skipping breakfast altogether. Never trust the oatmeal. Never. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this ridiculous nightmare of a story, make sure to subscribe, because apparently I might not survive another breakfast to tell the next one.